everyone is ready, we'll start the regular council meeting of Monday, January 2026. First of all, welcome everyone and Happy New Year. It's so good to see everybody here. A great way to start off our first meeting of the year. The regular council meeting is being held in the council chamber, community room, and our chambers at 1394 Pine Avenue in Trail, BC. Via Zoom live meeting and commencing at 3 p.m. And you can also watch the meetings on the webinar. It is recorded and published on the city's YouTube site at trail.ca/YouTube. So the first item is to call the meeting to order, and then we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. Is there someone to make that motion, please? Thank you. And a seconder, all those in favor? Thank you, that was carried. And next I need a resolution to move into the committee of the whole. Is there someone to, okay, first and second? All those in favor? So we do have some delegations to here today. And we have three in the 26 development Community Futures from South, and that would be Eric. Welcome.
Our seat coordinator.
And Ron, I didn't see Ron there. For you too, Ron?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. This council and staff. Okay, we're gonna report on did over the last calendar year. Generous support of grant dollars from the city of Trail. And the first slide, what was provided to, summary of our services rendered. We did receive a grant for $12,376 last year from the city of Trail, and that supported 183 hours of community economic development work performed by Ron and our organization, Community Futures South Kootenay. So you can see we had our CPTED study, CPTED part 2, the DTIC, which is the Downtown Trail Improvement Committee, and then our We Sport Fish website. All those initiatives tallied to almost 375 hours at a value of just over $25,000. And CPTED, for those of you who don't know what CPTED stands for, it's the Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design study that we led with a consultant, Harry Measure. So, Ron, are there any questions on any of these initiatives? Because Ron could speak to them. We detailed it in the report, but respecting your time, we can just keep moving if there aren't any questions.
Sure, I don't see any questions, so go ahead.
Okay, great. Next slide. Over and above that work, we also delivered additional work. These were not contracted with the city of Trail, but community economic development is a mandate of our organization, and we did all this extra work as part of our commitment to contributing to our regional economy. So we had 4 initiatives that we delivered, totaling close to 160 hours and at a value of $85,000. First one was ImagineKootenay.com. That's a brand new, it's a revitalized initiative. It's a website, it's an investment, attraction, and retention website that's been around for 20 years. That is being revitalized, and the value we have there, $76,000. That includes $45,000 from Etsy BC, a grant we received. Second item was the ERAP, which is the Economic Resilience Action Plan for our region. The third one was Ron's participation on several municipal committees. And then the fourth one was work that we were doing to come up with a regional solution to economic development in our region. And I circulated a white paper about a year ago. And we were doing, Ron was doing a lot of comparison work on researching other models that are used in other regions to support creating something collaborative here amongst the three organizations, which are the LCC, DTS, Chamber, and ourselves. So that summarizes the extra work that we did. Are there any questions? Excellent. We have one more slide, but we'll keep that one for later. That's for next time. Thank you. Thanks, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have the Trail and District Chamber of Commerce. Erica.
Thank you very much, Mayor Jones. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for seeing me today with my report of the projects that the chamber has completed in 2025. I earlier submitted our report, which I trust the council might have been able to review. And I'd just like to bring your attention to my slide, which was developed by my new assistant. Her name is Winter. And she chose a winter theme. So if we go to the first slide, I just really want to make a point that the chamber is, we are, the next slide, please. At the chamber, we are really focused on organizational excellence. And there are a couple of projects that we have completed this year in order to achieve that and to be in order to be the best ambassador for the business community in our region, which are outlined in here. We have focused on member engagement this year again, worked on on the next slide, worked on our business directory. I just want to highlight a couple of items here where I like to draw your attention to our success. In example, why we say that our projects are successful is because, in example, our newsletter opening rate is 61%, which is above industry rate. So I just, the chamber's retention rate is 88%. 83,000 page views. So these highlighted items is just to underline that the projects that we have carried out this year proven to do the job that was set out to do.
There you go. Okay, wonderful. So once we get the slides up there, we'll be ready to roll. But thank you, council, for Mayor and council for letting me present our 2025 results, as well as our plans moving forward in a new model for 2006. As a partnership between partners in the area. And I just want to say congratulations on 125 years. Congrats, well done. And it's like 114 days, Silver City Days. That's the counter. That's right. Excellent. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'll just wait for the next slide.
There you go.
And next one.
Just use your arrow.
Looking back a few, actually. You're just taking a moment to load up.
If you want to get that out of the way, if you copy over it, it'll be like the far left one, minimize. No, minimize. There you go. And then minimize on that.
There we go. Like that slide.
Well, believe it or not, there is a slide deck behind there and there somewhere. Happy to present to a white screen as well.
You'll see this as you go.
Well, I have mine in front, that's fine. So as long as you're all in the same, just to, okay, wonderful. If you all have it in front of you, that's perfect. Okay, so I'm happy, thrilled to present, the new renewed and improved LCC DTS. As you know, last year, the LCIC has been, formally, wrapped up and has dissolved. So I am presenting, and reintroducing this organization as what it should be, which is, the region's, economic development organization, that is a, coordinating body for the region. So what we do is lead projects, specializing in project management. We're also marketing the region, applying for grants, in partnership with our many members. We do foreign direct investment, facilitation. So we take, calls from investors and take them on tours in the region. And we provide concierge services for businesses in the area and, investors. We're also a collaborator for projects. We provide capacity for regional partnerships. We do research, policy. We provide connections and introductions to members around to work on these projects, and we provide support wherever we can. And finally, the community development. This is the community development team. Community development is beyond economic development service, what we're talking about today. And so we are a incubator of these community projects, community-led projects led by phenomenal volunteers in the community, and bring them up into larger organizations. That includes the Lower Columbia Community Health Center, which launched this last summer, was formerly the Health and Hospital Committee of the LCC DTS, and before that, many years ago, was the Lower Columbia Affordable Housing Society. And currently, it is the Trail, Roslyn, and Fruitvale Incredible Farmers Markets are supported by the LCC DTS. So the next slide is talking about our membership, just to show that our membership really represents truly the region. We have 7 permanent members, which includes the municipal, 5 municipalities and 2 regional districts as permanent voting members, really the foundation of our organization as was intended. Secondly, we have a broad membership of organizations that includes the Trail District Chamber of Commerce and also Community Future South Kootenay, as well as many other partners in the area. Our business members include larger employers, that's Tech, Red, and many other companies that are major employers in the region. So, when we talk about economic development, we can point to us as representing the region as whole. So we received $81,000 last year from the city of Trail. Thank you very much. I'm here to tell you that everything that we have proposed has been completed. So that includes refreshing and relaunching the Metal Tech Alley initiative, which has been kicking around for about 7 years, but not received a ton of investment until renewed interest this year. So we have a full rebrand and a relaunch of the Metal Tech Alley website. That includes a CityViz community profile and investor data platform being fully implemented. I'll talk about that in a minute. It also includes a relaunch of the industrial lands inventory to provide visual cues and information about industrial land available for investors. And we were able to advance the Critical Metals and Battery Recycling Hub project, which has morphed into what I'm calling Critical Metal Tech Alley, a project to support, which I will talk about in a minute, critical metals development in the area. That has received $75,000 from CBC last year, and I have another nearly $500,000 application to REDEP BC, which we will hear about in the spring. I have engaged a Metal Tech Alley social media marketing firm and a variety of other things. As you can see there, I won't get into all of them. But I would like to highlight the incredible farmers market, which read actually 69 markets this year and over 65,000 visitors. There were over 300 unique vendors this year, not 200, and well over $1 million in economic impact. So really, that's a gem in our region to be that has been supported from an admin function through these generous grants. For facilitating regional collaboration, I'm also happy to say that I have been working with the LCAHS, the Affordable Housing Society, and BC Housing to identify market housing projects, and we are going to continue that for next year. We've also completed an industrial opportunity report, which will be out in the next couple of weeks. So going on to the next slide. I'd like to take a minute just to talk about the incredible opportunity of Metal Tech Alley going into the future, and particularly the focus on the recovery of critical metals. That includes the smelter as well as battery and e-waste recyclers locally. In that respect, you've heard many times talk about the circular economy that our region excels at. In the last 2 years, the major geopolitical shifts in changes in the American political landscape has created a ton of interest and opportunity for our region to receive interest and investment from the provincial and federal governments. So moving on to the next slide. My intent is to bring our region to the next level of investment readiness, to be able to put up our hand to receive those funds and to bring that here to develop out our economy and our community. And so part of that is supported from, this is the regional profile, the data platform that has been implemented on metaltechalley.com. It includes not just demographic information, but economic indicators. Just a lot of really great information in there, which investors are expecting in this day and age. So moving on to the next slide, I'd like to talk about our results. So this is nearly $200,000 of extra investment leverage. That's non-municipal sources, and well over 200 businesses supported, and a variety of other key performance indicators there that I'm very proud of. And I'd like to just highlight the the amount of just positive movement there has been in supporting new jobs, businesses in the last area, and getting to this is what I call the money snowball. We're starting off showing a ton of new activity, and just starting with that ETSI-BC grant. I'm very confident that this year we're going to be able to leverage that into additional provincial and federal investments. So that was 2025. Moving on to 2026, I am presenting the work that the LCC-DTS is going to coordinate, which includes activities by the Trail District Chamber of Commerce and Community Futures. So in 2026, we have plans for offering business retention and expansion, it's BRE, through small and medium enterprise supports, it's networking events, business surveys, entrepreneur training, advocacy, and investment readiness. It's going to include the Trail downtown improvement, that includes the Downtown Improvement Committee, downtown business engagement, and continued support of the incredible farmers market. The next slide, we will be advancing the critical Metal Tech Alley initiative. That's going to include, thanks to ETSI-BC, hiring a project manager very shortly. We're going to share the results of the industrial zoning regulation review. We'll advance regional circular economy opportunities through our critical metals Metal Tech Alley industry roundtable, and going to continue investment attraction activities, which includes updating regional profiles and Invest in Canada, continuing to collect and share data, and advocate for our region. I'm hopeful to have positive news about the Rate BC project. And I'm later in the year, I'm going to work with our membership to apply for even more funding from the federal government. So the last section is on regional coordination. This is a whole, represents a ton of work on many members in our region. That includes advancing the Imagine Kootenay project. It will be advancing market housing initiatives. It'll be working with the Kootenay Film Commissioner to find more locations and develop, to encourage economic development through film and TV productions. To advance the South Kootenay tourism strategy, completed by the Chamber and Selkirk College. We're going to have a workforce development event, and I will continue to be the delegate and ambassador for a trail for the BCPMP Entrepreneur Regional Stream. And finally, working with United Way and other partners on food security and sustainability initiatives. So an absolute ton of stuff we're going to be working on in the next year. And so the next slide is what we're asking for. So to support all these activities, in 2026, the LCCDTS is going to apply for, on behalf of the Community Future South Kootenay and the Trail District Chamber of Commerce, $159,000. We're going to do this as a trial run to make sure that we can get the governance in place and to support it with a regional 3-year strategic plan. And then once we have that all sorted, to come back to council for commitment in 2027 and 2028. So this will be that the LCCDTS holds the economic services contract and makes funds available for Community Future South Kootenay and the Trail District Chamber of Commerce. So why? Well, pooling all of our resources and having one economic development contract means we can maximize our leverage potential, taking that to the provincial government, federal government, and showing all of these funds are going towards CED projects. That allows us to leverage and get more money for regional CED organizations. We have a new governance, a new structure in place that will support and be guided by and accountable to our members. There'll be one contract, there's one contact, and then one report. That will help streamline and keep things very clear, for you all know who to contact. And I think this collaboration is the culmination of many years of work, including the white paper that was done by Community Futures and in partnership with the Chamber, towards a multi-year services contract supported by a 3-year regional strategy. This is going to have the biggest impact for the region, and I'm very excited to present this to council this year. So on that concludes my presentation. I'll be welcome to your question or comments.
Go ahead, Councilor Castro.
Thank you, Dr. Whitehead. Appreciate that. Just on regional coordination, when you talk about advanced market housing initiatives, why just market housing? Why not the other housing options, like the affordable housing options?
So the Lower Columbia Affordable Housing Society would be the lead on those initiatives. And so from an economic development perspective, we look at market housing supporting investment and growth in the business.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councilor Hanson.
And so with this collaboration, I mean, I know we've all been kind of hurrying up and waiting for us to get to all this point and everybody on the same, so all boards are supportive of this planned initiative from the Chamber, Community Futures, as well as LCCDTS with this collaboration trial run for this year.
Our chair is, and we have a board meeting tomorrow, so.
Part of the trial run is.
But usually, they take my lead on our recommendations, and we are very satisfied with the collaboration that's been accepted by the 3 of us, and looking forward to doing great things together. The big thing is the 3-year strategic plan, because we've really, since I've been here in this seat, in this role, there never has been one. We've each done our own plans, and I think we're way overdue for a cohesive collective plan and then executing on that plan. So I think it's gonna be great.
For me, what I am looking forward to is also obviously working with all three of us together. But the big difference in this collaboration moving forward is that all organizations must have their own strategic plan. But what the three of us are going to work on is a strategic plan for economic development for the region.
Thank you, Councilor Benson.
Thank you through the chair. Thank you, Cam. Question on, so the request for 159,000. And from that, the 25K to Community Futures and 34 to the Chamber of Commerce. So can you kind of speak to us about how that money would get approved? It would go through you in terms of what their idea is, and instead of us seeing it once a year?
So I have presented, you will see it through my presentation
Okay.
as a one point of contact, and I have presented those the projects that they will be working on.
Yeah.
That will be in an annual update, and we will talk through our regional strategy, what we would be applying for each year.
And you're comfortable with adding that to your workload?
Yes.
So, Cam, can you tell us, in your report, you talked about you had 6 regional projects that you were working on. Can you give us, an idea of what those look like?
So the regional partnerships, I wish I had my notes for what those are. So the regional partnerships supported would be things like the West Kootenay recruitment agency, which concluded this year. That was a partnership with the Community Futures Central Kootenay. They include things like I'm just gonna blank them. I'd like to get back to you on those.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 16 of them, and there's just too many. Yeah.
Okay, and the other question I had, what does the downtown engagement look like under this new project?
Yeah, so under the Community Futures.
The downtown
so-
business engagement.
Yeah, so to facilitate and support the formation of a business-driven, needs-based peer working group of downtown business owners focused on economic activation. It's the description, and beyond that, I would need to be put on that spot.
Yeah, we want to begin collaborating more with downtown businesses. We actually have our first meeting this Thursday.
Okay. Thank you. Council, does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, well, thank you all for being here today and sharing this information with us. And I guess we'll just take it as information and have our discussion and let you know what comes of it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you see, it's like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, we're going to move on to our departmental verbal updates, and first we have our general manager of municipal services and sure. Now, I'm just, so are you doing a couple this time, or you're just,
Yes, your worship, I have grounds and roads and purchasing mechanical as well as my own today.
okay, go ahead then.
Thank you, your
Thank
worship.
you.
Thank you, council, for having me today. Occurred to me when I prepared this update that our last chat was actually as far back as November 24th. So a bit of a wrap up for the 2025, which I must say view is very much successful.
Mhm.
So looking forward to looking into 2026, preparing now, looking mostly at operational resource requirements and coming up with budgetary capital requirements, make sure we hit the ground running so that we can achieve our goals into 2026. In terms of a few operational updates, we are working through the scope of work for our flower bed, hanging basket and pot scope of work for the maintenance and planting. Coordinating on both in terms of materials and preparing to issue the RFP. That's again a follow-up to that expression of interest we sent out earlier last year. The other piece we're doing actually was just executed starting today, which is preparing 901 Elena to be able to accommodate some additional temporary parking permitted parking. Bit of an alliteration there. To accommodate some other, what I understand to be some potentially relocation of some other spots, so. With some of the lack of the white stuff on the ground, we have some additional labor that we're able to pull together to be able to complete that this week. In terms of capital projects with myself, really, there is just the single one, which is the update to council chambers and the update to this committee room. So the proponent has been awarded the contract. They are in their design phase, selecting equipment. We've gone through with them a one-on-one throughout the entire rooms of the two areas to discuss what our asks are and what our critical criteria are. And we should be seeing design drawings here in the next week or so. Next phase will be to procure a contractor to perform the renovations in support of the rest of that, including some office equipment. But again, very excited to keep that moving forward. Looking ahead, obviously, we're working into 2026 budget. And then for myself personally, we're looking to amp up our asset management program, looking to get some support externally in developing our asset registry, which is kind of that first step there. And that's all for me for an update.
Okay. Any questions on that part of this report? That's report, no? Okay, thank you.
I can roll into the other
Sure,
two.
yeah.
Alright, so on behalf of Grounds and Roads, some clear key and accomplishments over this last month. Obviously, we completed our fall cleanup. It seems like a while ago, but that was just in November of last year. That included a bunch of winter preparation, including lade brushing, roadside fire smarting, intersection brushing. We've actually made some really good headway with bringing on our additional carpenter resources. We've been able to address a lot, if not almost all of our downtown sidewalks that had vertical displacements in exceeding of 1 inch. So that's very exciting to have that work completed so soon. We've also gone through a bit of a maintenance audit on our covered staircase to make sure we understand some of the work that needs to be done over that course. And maybe not as exciting, we've completed our street sign audit. So we've been able to fully inventory all our street signs. We've been able to replace any damaged or missing signs and remove any redundant or potentially confusing signage as well. In terms of some operational updates, the big one is noted with the lack of white stuff. Our precipitation has been in liquid form to the point of this season, which has given us the ability to get into some other activities that we typically wait for until spring. So, great head start on all of our fire smarting of our embankments and park perimeters, excess leaf control, playground maintenance, and garbage collection. In terms of capital projects for Grounds and Roads, the activities up at Bliski, again, were able to be continued with this warmer weather. So that includes the removal of the grandstand and preparation of reconfiguring that back portion with the retaining wall and the new construction of the new Empire location building. Our tree inventory and assessment is ongoing. We've received the report and looking forward to doing a bunch of work on that in 2026. In terms of looking forward into 2026, to secure and implement the required capital and operation priorities so that we can make sure that we achieve our goals into 2026. And that's everything for Grounds and Roads.
Any questions from council? No?
And so the last one for me is on behalf of purchasing and mechanical. So in terms of key milestone or accomplishments, we've actually received our brand new LaRue snow blower, sorry. So that is on site. The other major piece of equipment is being. I understand the irony of that statement. It was outstanding for quite some time. We're all excited to have it. Perhaps in later January, but we will have a need for it.
Yeah.
Our 3-ton expected to support our cemetery activities for the coming year will be delivered this week, another exciting large piece of equipment. And then brine storage tank, which will be used in, to support our spraying of our roads to help with icing situations, should be delivered here in the next week, which will allow us to get that truck out and active, and this particular type of weather, it's even more appropriate. A few operational updates. We've completed the inspections on our mechanic shop hoist. We have a list of deficiencies and those parts are being put on order so we can rectify those and get it back into service. In terms of training, Brian, our manager, was able to complete his coaching essentials course in the past year. So congrats to him, and hopefully we have opportunities to put those into practice. Our reclaimed wood from our demolition has been beautifully stacked, banded and tarped and stored at Public Works. So that is prepared for its future moving forward. In terms of capital projects, we have 2 roofing repairs that are ongoing. And we're actually, with this type of weather, potentially going to see some activity at Public Works on the carpenter shop. So we wait to hear back with them, but we've reached out with them first time this year to see if that's possible. And that's all that they're saying.
Okay, thank you
you.
so much. I don't see any hands up for questions. It sounds like we're ready for snow.
Any day.
Okay, thanks for your report. Next up, I will go to Craig Spears, the utilities.
Really council?
Mayor,
To start off with operational updates, going back in December again, because we didn't get a chance to chat much in between, from December 22nd to January 5th. You're kind of at a skeleton crew in utilities, all the big holiday time. We kept a minimum of 2 to 3 people just for emergencies, plus water treatment. But so we didn't take on any big projects. On Monday, December 29th, we replaced a collapsed sanitary sewer line that ended up being an emergency, so responded and fixed that. Wednesday, December 31st, we experienced a 6-inch water main break on Regan Crescent. Luckily, if you have to have a break, it occurred during the day, which is you're not trying to find personnel to come out in the middle of the night or so that was in a way a good thing. Yeah. January 6th, we replaced a failed water service line and another curb stop that failed on 2nd Ave. January 7th, we experienced another water main break on Lilac Crescent. Yeah, so this break was exposed and contained the same day. We were able to fall during day shift, luckily, and the repair was completed the next day. There's quite a lot of notification when I do that one. It's a big area. And that was to do with another valve we found that failed, so you can't isolate it. So that's kind of where the timing comes in. Water treatment plant, a while back we talked about getting the SCADA system upgraded. That's well on their way. Probably another week of programming and then we'll have a whole new system in place, so. For weather and environmental impacts, well, the lack of snow coverage typically is a concern with frozen water lines. However, it's not freezing, so maybe we'll be okay. Yeah. Capital projects, the water treatment plant, as you know, the pump and motor rebuild for pump 1, it was sent away, they pulled it. They went through it, so I got an update on that. It's gonna be under budget. It wasn't in too bad a shape. So they'll be back in town to install it probably mid-January, come out shortly. And then with the second one will be pulled in the fall, and the same process. Bear Creek well improvements, everything is ready to roll on that, except we're waiting for information on a specific type of a component, a relief valve. It's just a certain design we're looking for, and then we can go forward with that. So the plan's done. We'll have it out to tender shortly. Charles Lakes Drive, we talked about, there was some surveying getting prepped, that is complete. Still no word on the UBCM grant replied, so that's a little bit of a holdup, but I expect in the spring we'll see some news on that. Yeah, and then with that surveying, they'll have a detailed design and class A estimate by, midsummer, fall, yeah. And then tender in the winter. Shavers Bench infrastructure upgrade, plan is almost complete. We had some surveying done there as well. And the utility crew with Lacus Hill, we've been out doing some locates for that plan as well. So the detailed plan is almost complete, should be ready for tender within the month. And what else? There's some sewer infrastructure work within that area. That will be incorporated to this plan, and that may coincide with some of the trenchless relining. So it just so happens it's in the same area. So we'll work together, Ben and I will work together on that. Yeah, that's all I have. It was pretty light. Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Hanson has a question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I was just actually, thank you. I was just wondering, in regards to these numerous valve failures, are we tracking them, or do we have an inventory of which ones need to be done? I mean, I know there's assessments that are done in
Yeah.
sewers and whatnots, but are we doing the same kind of things for the valves, especially on our big water?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Some we know about, we have them on a list that we've been kind of going through and picking off. And we talked about the directional water main flushing, that identifies quite a few. It doesn't, you don't have to turn all the valves, so you'll always find some that, as something breaks. It's a valve that you don't normally turn. But we're also looking at unidirectional, or so valve exercising, that's another program. We have a truck that kind of, you send out the crew, they go around specifically turn valves and kind of get an assessment on the condition. However, that is also good for finding and breaking valves, so we can create problems as well. But yeah, to answer, yes, we do. Yeah.
Thank you.
That was a long answer. Anything else?
Any other questions? No, okay, thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, the manager of engineering and projects, then.
Mayor Council. So my update from the engineering department for December and January, some key accomplishments, both 900 and 901 demolitions were complete. 901 was complete a little bit earlier, but 900 happened during December, so happy to say that work is now done. As far as some operational updates out of our department, the ortho imagery drone mapping had started in the fall, but due to unfavorable weather conditions, we had to pause that. So we're going to be picking it up in the spring when conditions are better. The EngTech posting, as we've had a retirement, the department closed on December 19th. So we're currently in the process of looking at the suitable candidates, shortlisting, and looking at interviews in the coming weeks. From the memorial bench report that I put forward a couple months back, I'll be sending out approximately 50 to 60 letters, it looks like, to families later this month, updating them on the changes that came into effect with the 2018 policy, and updating them on how the programs changed for the 15-year initial maintenance period. Recipients of those letters will be granted an 18-month grace period, at which time they can decide whether they want to renew their sponsorship in the program. As far as some capital project updates, obviously the demolition of 900 being complete, that happened towards the end of December. The site's prepped and ready for temporary parking until a plan for further development has been established for that site. And transit exchange and parking meters that were impacted during the demolitions have all been reinstated as of last week. The 1200 block of Dudney Avenue rebuild is all moving forward, scheduled to begin construction the week of May 19th. So we've worked with Brenton Industries to set a date that is after Silver City Days so that we don't have to halt construction, which should make it a lot easier not having equipment in that area. As far as community engagement out of the engineering department, just received a lot of positive feedback from the public related to the two demolitions. And a number of people specifically around the reclaimed lumber that was talked about by Craig. So they're excited to see what it's going to be used for. And just happy to see that there was a purpose and meaning to it rather than it just ending up in the landfill. And as far as looking ahead for the department, just in the planning and budgeting stages for 2026, at this point, CIPP lining, cured place lining is expected to occur, as well as roofing replacements, planning, and some the 10-year inspection on the pedestrian bridge, as well as some inspecting on Cambridge Dam in its final year. And that's all I have to report, unless there's any questions.
I see no questions.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're on to Parks and Recreation and the Facility Maintenance Manager. Linda Nodlow.
Morning, council, thank you for having me. Yeah, an operation update. So this year we have had significant uptake in grindings in the curling rink side. It's quite high compared to historical norms. All have been repaired by staff to keep everything in operation, but so far we've had 12 leaks this year. Historically, we've maxed out around 4. So there's a fairly significant take in what we're seeing there, which is the curling rink starting to show its age as far as the mechanical infrastructure. With the new refrigerated floor and Cominco Arena online and capabilities for year-round ice, there's been a lot of feedback from user groups on essentially the need, the want to have year-round ice. We now have the infrastructure in place to both accommodate that on the floor side as well as the dehumidification side with the phase 1 and 2 heat recovery upgrades. So I believe that would be it's a good use case to do that going forward into this year. From an operational decision, we'd like to monitor the costing as there will be impacts to staffing now that they would have to remain on site. But going forward, I believe that the impact overall would be very positive for the community and for the West Kootenays in general. So we'd be the only rink running summertime ice. It would attract quite a lot of users to the facility and to the area. So yeah, between discussions with Jared and myself, looking at we'd like to make that decision to go forward with remaining open this year and essentially monitor costing and then track it and see what that actually looks like, what the impact has for our operations going forward. Now, on to we have some training updates. So with new equipment coming online, we're working with our maintenance foreman and Josh committee, update some of our core safe work practices at Trail Memorial Center and the Aquatic Center. Currently going through some interviews to hire casuals. We've had some staffing move around internally, so we're looking to fill a couple of positions there. And into a capital update on the heat recovery project. Our site-specific heat pump is currently on site and being installed. This is a pretty critical piece of equipment, especially with that our energy grant that we received. And this will allow us to capture all wasted energy from that ammonia plant that's normally rejected to atmosphere and recover it and preheat domestic hot water and boiler water, which provides space heating for the Memorial Center. So that is scheduled to be online by the end of the month for testing and commission. In addition to that, we're still underway with the hydronic system building. Crews are now outside building all the piping network that's going to be going to all of the rooftop units. The rooftop units are on site at the Memorial Center, and after some manufacturing delays, and those are scheduled to be installed in late March, early April, as weather permitting. So we'll have to decommission the current ones do quite a lot of roof work and then reinstall new ones and integrate them into this large system. With the majority of overhead work having been completed, we've now opened, I'm sure most people realize we've opened up the rear of the building again. So it has, we will still have to do periodic shutdowns just for public safety for any overhead work, but for the most part, the arena is back to normal operations. Construction impacts us. Looking ahead, we're doing a lot of planning for BC Winter Games. So we have some upgrades happening throughout the facility to facilitate those, and we're looking forward to hosting that. That concludes my update. Does anybody have any questions?
Great, thank you. Councilor Castell.
Just like to make a motion that staff operate the icy around the Cominco Arena.
Sure, I'll second it. With the seconder?
Question.
Yes, go ahead, Councilor Benson.
I'm good with it if we can ensure that there's communication with the user groups, thinking of like the graduation class not being able to use it, and just to be ahead of it. I know that there was some concerns last year. Otherwise, I'm fine with it.
Do I answer that before you guys?
Sure, we're just in a discussion right now, so yes, go ahead, you can.
Yeah, through the chair. So yeah, there has been some, we're obviously in consultation with the user groups and impact. With the BC Games, one of the things that they were looking to do is actually cover the floor
Yeah. I've heard.
with plywood.
Yeah.
To further staging, so there would be, we could kind of piggyback off of that, looking at,
That's what rock concert at.
yeah,
Roger.
utilizing that existing plywood storage on site to allow grad class to cover the, or the continued grad in the arena.
And maybe it's other city days. Maybe. Much how they seem
And
cool.
so
over
we're sitting
cities.
there, and
Won't be as hot, yes.
is there any other questions? I know we have a motion on the floor right now, that's, and someone, Councilor Cashel, and we have a seconder. But I'm just going to ask staff for some advice here. Is this something that we should, put forward to look into with the budget? Or is this something that we expect a report back on?
I think it's an unknown, so, what I think that we don't know is mostly kind of the cost of, say, electricity and some of those components. At the same time, there's a real thought process that not using the time that we have in the past of taking the ice out, putting the ice back in, means that we actually have manpower resources that we haven't had before or have been used differently. And then the expectation would be that we would redeploy those in a way that would be useful, and so those things would be more appropriate. So the big thing is what is our heat cost? We also know the fact that we're set up now with the heat recovery unit piece going on, that we should expect a decrease overall in the operations of the TMC. So I think that there's a comfort level of councils just giving us the green light to move forward with this. They would have been something that would come forward, just said, this is operational. We just, and I wasn't aware that we were gonna ask for this. I thought we would just maybe told council, like, hey, we're gonna operate this, but great that we've kind of maybe.
You want to be involved.
You want to be involved, exactly. I want to be involved in the fact that the motions on the table that just gives us the authority to, if the council's aware and approves of that, I think would be totally fine.
Okay. Okay, so, David, do you want to read out the motion again, please?
I would also recommend, if council's looking for some reporting at the conclusion of this to determine the outcomes, that within this motion, we can also have some language saying that staff will report back, probably in 1 year's time, just to, once we can kind of start keeping track of this data. So right now I have that the Trail Memorial Center, Cominco Arena ice surface remain in for the 2026 year, and staff report back with the operational findings.
Okay, Councilor Cashel, are you okay with that motion, the wording of it? Because you made the motion, so.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So you go like this.
We have a seconder, so all those in favor of the motion, please. Thank you, and that was carried. Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just about the brine leaks in the curling rink, what's the plan?
Essentially, it's, through the chair. Essentially, as we kind of deal with them as they're discovered.
Okay.
It's a bit of a risk if we just start replacing sections of line, because sometimes we're actually having to chip away concrete and get into the embedded line, so sometimes preemptive work can do more harm than good, so we're kind of just dealing with them as they come. Now, staff monitor the plant multiple times a day, and that includes monitoring the brine levels, and we have buffer tanks, ones that are dedicated to the kids and curling rink, separate from the main rink, so you can see a noticeable trend if there is a loss of brine. It's usually a big pinhole leaks, nothing like bursts, and so you can see a slow loss of brine that's tracked every day. So that's kind of the indicators, but yeah, we deal with them on a kind of a basis as they come.
And have you flagged it on a future plan for, I guess just to note, I don't think in any of our strategic 5-year planning, we've really discussed the curling rink, so are we gonna note it somewhere, so?
That'll be for
Future council can-
future discussion, because it's not isolated to the sheets. There's 8 sheets, but they're in pairs of 2, and so like A, B, C, D, they're all suffering. So it's not like they're isolated to 1 or 2 of them. They all seem to be showing their age.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so in regards to, the ice staying open for the whole of the year, is, there gonna be a communication strategy to go out to potential user groups that we will have ice in? Cause this will be the first time that we'll have ice in now, so communicating to other groups in areas that they rent the ice. I mean, I know there's so many groups that want different hockey camps and skating things and whatnot, so just wondering if there's gonna be a plan to just make sure that's obviously, that Claire's looking at me smiling in the background. Just so that we can make sure that all of these groups know that ice will still be available for rentals and still be available for other big groups and outfits to use.
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, yes, that is the plan, is to coordinate with users. I know that they communicate internally from groups in the area, so hoping to work with Claire and communicate out those messages that, hey, normally this is when our ice season would end, but now here's the extended season. Create what that looks like. We want to ensure that we're giving priority to our local user groups now, our bylaws and procedures now, but we want to open it up to the broad area. So however we can communicate that, yeah, we're together to accomplish that.
Great, thanks, Brendan.
Thank you. Apologize, I have to believe I've got a child in me.
Thank you, Simon. Okay, so on to our Parks and Recreation Manager report, and that would be Gabby.
Good afternoon, your worship and council. So here is some key accomplishments and milestones from December. We definitely survived Christmas break. We had a record number of people that attended the multiple public swims over the 2-week break. It was very, very busy, so it was good to see. But yeah, it definitely, we had lots of staff on and could have even used more at times. It was, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Some operational updates. So our programming started up again this week. Aquafit continues to do very well. All of the classes that we have running are full. Lessons are also starting up this week. Everything is full. We have wait lists. So yeah, things are going really well. Bronze Cross just started up last week. That's full. With 11 registered. We have a swim instructor course starting this Friday. That's full with 12 registrants, and that's for people to learn how to be a swim instructor. We also have the school district life skills swimming group started up again. It's a special needs group from all of the elementary schools in the area, plus Jail Pro. They've booked private swim lessons as well, now going forward from now until mid-April, for 2 hours of instruction, twice a week. Pool birthday parties are super popular. Those are, we can't keep up. So lots of party bookings. As well as our aquatic coordinator will be back on a gradual return to work starting on January 26th. And we just recently promoted one of our slide attendants to lifeguard. And we also just hired another instructor, lifeguard instructor. We also promoted one of our full-time senior lifeguard instructors to head lifeguard instructor. And we also hired a new cashier, and she completed her training at the end of December. Some community engagement and feedback. We're getting some really great positive feedback regarding the fitness center. People are loving the new equipment and the new setup. We get so many comments that people feel like they're in the big city now. Like it's comparable to, you know, a gym on the coast. So they're super pleased. Very good feedback. Looking ahead, we're already looking into booking school swimming lessons for Twin Rivers and Northport Elementary. And work is starting on the spring summer leisure guide. That's leisure guide time. We were successful in receiving a grant from CBT. It was a REACH grant for $14,800. And that will go towards some new equipment, such as a couple of top docks for swimming lessons, a wheelchair and a water gurney. And then also looking ahead to the BC Winter Games, we'll be hosting the groups will be using the pool as well as showers. And that's all that I have.
Awesome. Okay, Counselor Hanson.
Thank you, through the chair. Just wondering, I know that in past, there's been relationships with some of the other pools, just thinking spring and summer leisure guides and whatnot. Is there any conversations with operations in our neighboring communities, making sure that there's adequate staffing for us and opportunities to work with other groups? I know Warfield, I think, worked with Roslyn last year. Just wondering about what that looks like, or if there's engagement with supporting each other.
Well, we definitely do the training. Most of the training is done through Trail, and a lot of people look to the Trail pool for research. So already looking ahead, we are we'll be organizing research that kind of fall in line when the kids come out of school, like come out of when they're finished college, so that they can do their research here. They ask us for help in doing in-service training. There is talks. We do collaborate. We try to not, well, we also have usually closure in the summer, so we only do a certain amount of lessons to try and, because Warfield likes to do lessons, so does Roslyn, so we do what we can, but we try not to run advanced courses through the summer. Just because we do ours in the spring, summer, we kind of do how we plan ours is we start to do all the courses to become lifeguard. We start them in April, kind of wind up in July. And then it also gives the outdoor pools an opportunity to offer those courses as well. But we're seeing such a huge intake in registrations, like our courses are so full. So I think it's also because, people are looking ahead for employment, but we also have, we have 32 staff that we currently have hired at the aquatic center. So, and like all these classes are full. So there's all these people waiting in the wings, down the road looking for employment as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you for being here today. I will move on to our recreation program coordinator, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you, Mary Council, for having me.
So, yeah, we had a very busy December. Just to summarize some of the different things that were successful. We had our senior Christmas dance, with 55 in attendance for that one. And our next ones coming up are mid-January and mid-February, so we're trying to maintain those every month as much as we can. We had our winter pickleball tournament in December. We maxed that out. It was full at 32. And our next one will be in February. One new thing we're just trying out with the tournaments for that one is trying to break up into 2 groups. We have like a beginner kind of milder group versus the more advanced play groups. And it is actually quite a positive feedback on that because it's inclusive for all the different styles of players. So we'll try and keep doing it that way as well. And then we also had our holiday camps, which was our Christmas camp, Cowabunga, which had quite a lot with 19. And our tennis camp as well was full. So that was great for the Christmas season. We also had a lot of public skating events that have occurred already. Skate with the Smokies, we try and do one a month. And our Halloween skate was also involved with the spectacular. That was very successful. We have our monthly glow skates. So once every month we'll put on the glow lights in the kids' rink. And that attracts a lot of attendance. And then we also had our latest was our Christmas skate with Santa, which was probably the busiest Christmas skate in the history of public skating events. It was packed. We actually have pictures that Claire provided a photographer to come out and
Wow.
so we do have documented pictures of it, which is very exciting. So we'll use that in our leisure guide for next winter. But yeah, that's always such a great event. So upcoming, we have our spring break camp for kids, and that's a full 2 weeks in March. So those usually fill up. And then we also offer a golf camp and a tennis camp during spring break as well. So we're already, actually it's advertised already, so we're taking registrations. Just to also comment on birthday parties. Oh my God. They're so busy, like we can't keep up, as Gabby has said, with the pool parties. We also have bookings for the kids rink, the field house and the Kaminko gym. And literally takes a ton of time, like doing all the bookings. It's actually quite a lot. It's crazy. So it's we try to book as much as we can. But yeah, we gotta kind of keep an eye on booking too many, to max out the bookings at the arena. But it's very positive. Like it's an option. Like the word is out that the facilities are excellent for big groups and kids for birthdays, and it's great that we can offer something like that for them. So those are very good. And just another highlight, some fitness classes. We are offering a senior balance class, and it is so popular that we are now offering twice a week instead of just once. And they're both full up. So yeah, that was it for mine. And if anyone has any questions.
Okay, see any questions? Okay, and just before everyone leaves, so I really want to thank you for coming and doing this reporting. And I know it sounds really, really busy, and I know probably extra work for everyone, but there's just so much going on. It's, it's kind of exciting. It's a good news story, actually.
Yeah.
So thank you for everything that you're doing to keep this going. And yeah, it's just great to hear your reports again.
Great. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Okay, that's it for, all right. Thank you, everyone. If you do want to stay, you're welcome to, and also if you want to leave, we can. I'll totally understand. So we're going to move on to our staff reports. We do have 2 months of staff reports here.
Thank you.
Bye. We have the building department report for December 2025, and we have the bylaw enforcement report for December 2025. Is there anyone that would like to move these for information? Thank you. Is all those in favor? And that was carried. Okay, on to our Crown Land Bylaw Enforcement Report. So, Chris,
I can speak to it.
okay.
Yeah, thank you, your worship. Thanks, council. So if you recall, there was a motion passed by council at the September 29th regular meeting, which outlined 4 requests to staff for further information. And so this report is related to that motion. And I'll try and summarize under the 4 findings as requested in the motion. The first was in relation to the jurisdiction and authority of Trail City bylaws in relation to unauthorized encampments on crown land within city boundaries. And to clarify, that is mostly related to within the riparian area down along the Columbia River. Or was the litmus of this report at this time, and we did receive correspondence from both Gerald Hill, the Superintendent, South Area Natural Resources Officer, the Ministry of Forests, that was required, and then we also did hear, I'm sorry. Yeah. From the Seamus Wolf, the Chief of Staff, Ministry of Water, Land and Resource Stewardship. And we received response from them in terms of the current or planned collaboration between the City of Trail and the Ministry of Forests or any other provincial agencies concerning such encampments. Based on the responses that we received from both of those entities, it does not appear there will be any collaboration in regards to encampments or otherwise within Crown land. And so their responses were that City of Trail bylaws would take precedence within those areas, and it is for the municipality to manage. And so the third one was the process of communication in relation to protocols and the RAP, report all poachers and polluters, which would have pertained if it was in relation to the ministry or province, but as they have stated, it will not be. So it can be reported to RAP, but they will be taking no action. And so it'll be more of a city responsibility or action item if they are to come in, and we will work as, again, part of this motion is to create some communications based around this this motion. Some steps that residents can take to report anything that they find, and then all as well as outlining actions that the city can or may take after receiving reports. And that leaves us to the fourth part of the motion. In regards to any limitations or responsibility or enforcement considerations that residents should be aware of when reporting these issues. And this will be primarily when they're reporting it to the city, and can be outlined within our communications as we work towards getting that issued. But it is important to remember that housing is a human right protected under international law. And such, there are certain steps that need to be taken when looking to enforce or deal with encampments within Crown land or on any public land. And that if there are no adequate housing for the individuals to be moved to, we cannot forcibly remove the camps. So our bylaw has been great stewards at managing those sites while they are there. So dealing with garbage as it comes up and trying to ensure that the areas look as clean as possible. Working with those individuals that are there to try and connect them with services that could further to get them into housing, to shelter. And further, if those camps do become abandoned as we are monitoring them, then we can move to remove those camps if nobody is attending those sites. And to that, that can be done by City of Trail bylaw staff. Or if they do not have the time due to other restraints through their normal day-to-day operations, or it is an area that is complicated or may require a lot of time, we do have third-party contractors that can assist in that removal. And so those Crown land areas are just essentially going to be dealt with in the same way that we manage other encampments throughout the city. And so residents, if they are notifying staff, we will take the same steps that we do through those other encampments. And so this report is currently for information purposes only, and the recommendation reads as such. If council has any questions, I can do my best to answer them at this time.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much for the report, and you've answered all my questions in your narrative. Thank you.
I have a few questions if that's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very good, thorough report. I think, and it's a pretty emotional topic, I think, too, when people are calling to report. So I just really encourage a lot of clarity in terms of the criteria or decision-making protocol on what to do, considering that it is on the Columbia River. If there's pollution to the river, it's like the greatest asset, being right there, and also safety concerns. We've had police, fire, and residents talk about encampments having like booby traps around them. And so there needs to be like a bit of balance between it's an area that all of the community would like to use as well. And do you want to bring up the fireworks thing? Okay. So I think it's really just important in terms of the clarity of criteria in terms of how to, when to move, or if they could move along. And this leads into the question that I think Councillor Martin's going to ask.
Thank you through the chair. I had the privilege of attending a Silver City Days meeting today, and the reason I was there is because of the Braden fireworks, my past connection to the fire service. We do have a concern. The fire service has a concern regarding the fireworks being shot off at the boat launch now. With that one encampment that is just downriver from the boat launch. They're not going to, they don't want to shoot them off there because of that encampment, because of the safety issues, whether somebody's in there or somebody's not in there. As Ms. Moorhead can attest to, we have security that goes out and shuts down the air. Excuse me, I'm not sure what time that was, but it doesn't matter. It's prior to when they started setting up the fireworks. So we're not sure at this point. I reached out to my connection at the fire hall again after our meeting, and he said it would be better if there wasn't an encampment there. But going back to what Ms. Moore had just explained to us in the report, they have a right to live, and we'll have to figure something out beforehand. So
Yes, thank you, through the chair, and I think both those comments, it is finding balance between, what's written in this report and in terms of the human's right to the shelter, as you say, Councilor Martin, and any other difficulties or aspects that we have to navigate. And we do have some time for Silver City Days. We'll try and work with bylaw to determine path forward. And also in understanding what, in speaking further with the representatives of the fire hall and determining what their risk and even just in that area in general with other homes in the area, and just seeing what their concerns are and how to mitigate those as best as possible to continue having that operation. Thanks.
Go ahead, Councilor. Thank you through the chair. I don't know if council was surprised by the response and from the government in terms of us. I certainly wasn't, but it might be, again, time to maybe flag that if this does create a lot of extra work, then maybe an additional bylaw officer would be needed. So just if we're kind of balancing costs of third party.
Yes, through the chair. Further to that, we have added a line item within the city's budget to deal with strictly for the third party cleanup of encampments. It's a start to understand the costs associated with it, and we can start figuring out what that means.
Yeah, just a further comment through that, I do not believe it's our bylaws responsibility to physically remove the encampment, so I'm encouraged and happy to see that we have a third party contractor hired.
Yeah.
And I like that practice, and I support it 100%.
And thank you, through the chair, Councilor Cashel, it is gonna be great to have that resource when available. Our bylaw staff, they do have a good connection to that community and are very good in trying to find that balance, right? So they do like to have kind of first look and make sure, and if they are just simple encampments, we will continue with the city enforcement. But if it
escalates beyond that or is gonna take up a lot of their time, that is gonna detract from other bylaw activities, we have that option, which is great.
I think that was my question as well. Does the cost of removing the encampments go back to the government?
Sure, no.
Nothing.
I said there was.
Nothing.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work that goes on there. I mean, at one time we were talking about bringing the barge up to get that one encampment out. A barge up the river and then taking the garbage out. So, you know, it does get to be expensive.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just as a thought, isn't there that group that goes around and cleans up the Columbia River? I don't know if you'd want to put that on them, but if they were willing to help out clean it. Do you remember that group? It's just a volunteer group that
It is
goes
a
in-
volunteer.
it might be outside their scope. I don't know they do more used vehicles and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
they're just doing old vehicles and hot water tanks
Happen to be out
and
there.
all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, just a thought.
Yeah, through the chair, just with the materials that may be present.
Yeah, it's hired professionals for it. Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, we'll move on to the recommendation, and that is that the January 12th, 2026 report titled Crown Land by Law Enforcement be received for information. And all those in favor? Thank you very much. So the next item on the agenda is the municipal officers bylaw 2965. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. As you can see in the reports, the city of Trail had an officer bylaw, that was last adopted in 1999. The statutory legislation that it is under is no longer governing the province of BC. So just in terms of that, it is time for an update to this bylaw. Notwithstanding that, the legislation requires that the officer positions of corporate officer and financial officer must be established by bylaw. Council may add any other officers to the municipality to operate or assist in operations, such as the chief administrative officer. And in our case, as you see through the bylaw, our general manager of municipal services. So those are defined, the three positions, the CAO, the corporate officer and the financial officer, their duties are defined by the legislation. The GM of municipal services is unique to us in this sense and is governed by the job description, but does form part of the bylaw. And then those individuals are assigned to the positions within the bylaw through council resolution. So yeah, this is just to pass this updated municipal officers bylaw.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so I'll just put the recommendation out there, and that is that council recommend that the required readings of the municipal officer bylaw 2965 be considered at the January 12th, 2026 regular council meeting. Councillor Cashel has moved that. All those in favor? Thank you, that was carried. Okay, proposed rezoning of 3249 Lilac Crescent. And welcome, President.
All right, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Before you today is a relatively straightforward application for a zoning amendment to permit a short-term rental use within a single-family dwelling on a R1 zone residential property. A bit of background here, recent legislation changes have brought in short-term rental limitations throughout much of BC. This includes the requirements for business licensing and owner occupation requirements. In Trail BC, the owner occupation requirement is not in place until the total population reaches 10,000 or greater. While the 2021 census data indicates Trail was 7,920, further population increase could eventually bring us past that 10,000 threshold, and that would then activate that owner occupation requirement. That's just some background. According to our zoning bylaw, a short-term rental accommodation is defined as a rental of a dwelling unit on a daily, weekly, or other short-term basis for less than 4 consecutive weeks. Currently, R1 permits a variety of residential uses, but it does not allow for a short-term rental use. Under the general provisions of our current zoning bylaw, it establishes a framework for short-term rentals to operate. This includes maximum number of sleeping rooms, parking requirements, exterior visual impact mitigations, and business license requirements. This general zoning provision clarifies that a property zone R1 or R3 must rezone to a zone variation, which are labeled either R1A or R3A. This would enable the short-term rental to operate as a principal use. The application you have before you today requests that the current R1 zoning be amended to R1A to permit the proposed short-term rental use. Based on staff analysis of the OCP, the proposal is generally consistent. However, there's no policy in the OCP specific to short-term rentals. It's, you know, the OCP being 2004, I believe. Don't need to double check that. It is a different issue back then. Yeah, Airbnb is something new. Overall, the OCP supports home-based businesses and bed and breakfasts in the Glenmary neighborhood where it situates, provided they don't impact the neighborhood's residential character and livability. It primarily wants to preserve the single-family character of the neighborhood. Staff recommend that council give first and second reading to the proposed bylaw number 2968, and that we move forward with the neighborhood notifications and the scheduling of a future public hearing. I do want to note within the staff report, we have established a few options outside of our main staff recommendation. If council believes that the application is consistent with the current OCP, as established under Part 4642 of the Local Government Act, you may actually waive the public hearing requirement. The city would still be required to notify neighboring properties within 50 meters and advertise in the newspaper regarding the waiver of such public hearing. Further comment from the public would still be welcome in writing, which would be placed on a future council meeting for information. That's about it for this application. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Any questions from council? Go ahead, Councillor Hanson.
Thank you so much through the chair. So in regards to where the location is, neighborhood, it is, you know, within this application, it is within the people's home that they live in. Which with the short-term rentals, that is part of, if you are over the legislation over 10,000, that it must be in your primary residence. So while we aren't over 10,000, this would then comply with the legislation that's there for future growth opportunities.
Through the chair, if we were to surpass that 10,000 through whatever means, whatever population mechanism, they would still be compliant. They still need a business license and they're still required to register with the province, but there would be no issue.
Okay.
Just through the chair, I think I have read the report, but there's parking dedicated for that.
Yes, correct. They have 3 spaces, 2 are used right now, so they only require 1 more space.
Thank you.
Okay, so the recommendation is before you, and if there's no other questions, I'll just read that out. And that is that council recommends zoning amendment bylaw number 2968 to be considered for first and second readings at the January 12th, 2026 regular council meeting. And that further, that staff be directed to proceed with the required statutory notice and schedule a public hearing in accordance with section 466 of the Local Government Act. Okay, all those in favor, Councillor Benson has moved it, all those in favor? And that was carried. Thank you. Okay, are you doing the Hazelwood Drive one as well?
I am indeed. It's gonna get a bit repetitive. Like to present on this. Similar to the previous zoning amendment request, the owners of 12 Hazelwood Drive are also requesting a zoning amendment to permit a short-term rental use for the specific top unit of a triplex currently under building permit. Recently, the property owners have initiated a building permit application to add 2 dwelling units to the lower floor of a single-family dwelling, preserving the top unit for their own personal use. And intermittent short-term rentals. On their application letter, they've mentioned they're going to be gone 6 months of the year and they want to have the opportunity to rent that out. The property is located within the Sunningdale neighborhood and is zoned R1 as well. The property requests R1A zoning to enable the short-term rental use. Similar to the last application, the OCP encourages home-based businesses while maintaining neighborhood character. Recent provincial legislation now permits up to 4 dwelling units per property, and the draft OCP reflects this flexibility. The renovations maintain the appearance of the original single family dwelling, I do want to note. Staff recommend that council give first and second reading to the proposed bylaw number 2967, and that we move forward with the neighborhood notifications and the scheduling of a future public hearing. Alternative options include the waiver of the public hearing if you believe it's consistent with the OCP. One final note on this proposed bylaw, it reads a bit differently than the last one. In addition to rezoning 12 Kiswood Drive to R1A, this bylaw also introduces language creating the R1A zone variation within the zone. Currently it's actually absent from the list of zones, so staff want to place it in there for clarity. And yeah, this would ensure clarity and consistency for future applications, and it would also ensure we actually have that R1A zone, which I believe we rezoned a few properties last year.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
Just a comment on this one. I thought this report was really, really well done. And the justification too, and the photos, I thought this one was a very good. Then I ran by the house.
Well, and I think this is an interesting one because now we're looking at 4 separate. Exactly, and 7 parking spaces for that area. I think it's going to be I like the idea of a pilot project. Where they have it for a year and then we go back in and check in and see if everything is doing, you know, what we were hoping to do, because it's a bigger kind of development in a smaller community, like a smaller area.
Through the chair, it is 2 bedrooms, so it's a modest increase from that last application. If you do like the idea of a pilot project, I would actually advise you to caution away from the zoning and go forward with a TUP. A TUP would essentially give a trial run where it could expire and you'd have the choice after a year. If you're to approve zoning now, it would be a permanent change.
Well, if we did that though, then our OCP would be in effect and it would probably have that in there, right? That zoning.
It would designate residential properties for TUPs.
Yeah.
That's what I guess.
Okay. Councillor Hanson, did you have a question?
Yeah, just a comment. So now though, with the legislation that anybody can put up to 4 units on any single family dwelling as a whole. So while it's changing from being, you know, what would appear to be a single family residence to a triplex unit, that is within the legislation that anybody could go ahead and put up to 4 units on a smaller single family lot right now.
Right.
This is just the first time we're seeing it converted in a residential neighborhood from one house to multiple units per se. The location though is quite good because it is at the end of, there's a little kind of short, tiny street there. There really isn't, you're not obstructing the flow of any traffic other than maybe the parking of the neighbor across if you've had multiple people staying there. But I think they did add additional parking plus their double covered carport that's there.
Yes, they have capacity on site for sure.
Yeah.
So
Okay. It is actually a bigger area. Like off the side of the street for sure, so it does have the parking spaces. I just think it's a bigger project than we're used to in a smaller neighborhood, that's all. Okay, so if there's no other questions, then I guess we'll move ahead with the recommendation. And that is that council recommends zoning amendment to bylaw number 2967. To be considered for first and second reading at the January 12th, 2026 regular council meeting. And that further staff be directed to proceed with the required statutory notice and schedule a public hearing in accordance with section 466 of the Local Government Act. All those in favor? And that was carried. Thank you. Okay, is there any other reports? Anybody on for question period?
I see 1 attendance. If you have a question, you can please ask council now. Seeing none,
Thank you, Chris.
very much. We can move on.
Okay, we can move on. So we will move on to a resolution to exclude the public, recess the public meeting until 6 p.m. and immediately convene into a closed session.
Yes.
And the resolution is that pursuant to section 90 of the community charter, the public be excluded from this portion of the meeting as the subject matter being considered relates to the following. The Community Charter Section 91G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. Community Charter Section 91L, discussions with municipal officers and employees respecting municipal objectives, measures, and progress reports for the purpose of preparing an annual report under Section 98, Annual Municipal Report. And further, that the public portion of the meeting be recessed until 6 p.m. And further, that council immediately resolve into the closed portion. So thank you. Is there a seconder? Thank you. All those in favor? And that was carried. Thank you.
All right.